Hey, good evening, everyone who's just joining me here on the live stream. We're going to get started in just a moment. Bear with me. Again, we're going to get started in just a moment here. Bear with me, everyone, on the live stream. I'm just kind of getting my ducks in a row, if you will. All right, we're going to get started here on the live stream this evening. Here on Facebook and YouTube and the Storm Tracker 21 app, WFMJ.com as well. We've got round two of severe weather moving through the area early this evening. We had round one around midday today, and now we've got a doozy of a line of storms that's moving through. The good news is everything is moving pretty quickly. The bad news is that this line really does mean some business. Current warnings out for our TV viewing area. We have one polygon right now. It's it's a warning polygon, a severe thunderstorm warning polygon that's in effect until 7:45 this evening for the southern half of Trumbull County and all of Mahoning County as well. Again, this is a long duration warning running for at least another hour or so. The main concern is definitely the wind with this line of storms that is pushing through. I want to query real quickly what the wind velocity data off the National Weather Service radar based out of Cleveland is showing, and look at all these yellow colors across the southern tier of Trumbull County. That's not something we like to see. Those yellow colors indicative of winds of at least 60 miles per hour. So around Newton Falls, heading over to Lordstown, up to Warren, up to the Cortland area, around the airbase in Vienna. We got 60 plus mile per hour winds pretty likely in that zone. Now the warning extends down into Mahoning County, where we don't have severe winds necessarily just yet, although it's getting quite windy, no doubt, coming into Berlin and out towards Ellsworth with that part of the line of storms. Let's go back to the traditional radar and show you that, yeah, we've got kind of two areas to keep an eye on. One is moving kind of southeast. That's our Trumbull County part of this. This section here is moving more due east. I'll show you what I mean when I put the radar loop on here. This is a half an hour loop. What's coming through Warren and Vienna and Newton Falls and into Niles right now is kind of moving southeast towards Youngstown. What's out towards Berlin Township and coming into Ellsworth right along 224 is moving almost due west to east, and this all kind of is going to congeal into just one big line that will continue pushing out to the east. Again, everything's moving at about 45 miles per hour this evening, and that's going to keep the severe winds in any one location confined to a pretty short time frame. So in your location, the really bad winds might only last 5, maybe 10 minutes at the most. Let's do a storm track and show you some arrival times with our squall line here. Again, everything kind of moving 45 miles per hour. That puts it on track to push into Canfield here in a couple of minutes. Youngstown in about 8 to 10 minutes at most. Over towards Mercer in the central part of Mercer County, a little after the top of the hour. So once you get across the state line, and especially out into New Wilmington and Newcastle and kind of the I-79 corridor in Lawrence and Mercer counties, this will be after 7 o'clock and more towards 7:10 or 7:05 to 7:10. All the way up to about 7:30, and then I think we're pretty much out of the woods about an hour from right now. So again, even though this warning for southern Trumbull and Mahoning runs until 7:45, the severe weather risk in those locations most likely is going to be about over in 15 minutes or so at most, and then new warnings no doubt will be issued for parts of Mercer and Lawrence counties. Down in Columbiana County, we may be dodging a bullet a little bit down here, not seeing the super strong winds with this end of the line at this point. Although you look at the data off the Pittsburgh radar, which we're looking at right here because, of course, Columbiana County is a little bit closer to the Pittsburgh radar than the Cleveland radar. And yeah, there's still some pretty impressive winds coming into southwestern parts of Columbiana from New Garden and Hanoverton over towards the Stark County line near New Franklin and over towards the Minerva area as well. So, yeah, based on that data, well, maybe they will issue a new severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Columbiana County here before too much longer. Don't forget that the area is served by 2 National Weather Service offices, one in Cleveland, one in Pittsburgh. In our area, the Pittsburgh office covers Columbiana, Lawrence, and Mercer, so they are responsible for issuing the warnings for those counties. The Cleveland NWS office covers Mahoning and Trumbull counties, so any warnings that you see out for those counties, that's in the jurisdiction of the Cleveland National Weather Service office up in the western part of Cuyahoga County. All right, down here in our area, though, again, super windy line of thunderstorms getting set to push through. Want to actually bring up our Niles camera. Give me a moment here. This is going to say WFMJ Tower up in the banner, but this is actually, of course, Niles across from Eastwood Mall along 422, where it's raining pretty hard. Now, I'm not seeing a tremendous amount of wind right this moment in Niles, right along 422. Now, that may not be the case everywhere in that vicinity, but certainly right along the stretch that contains Eastwood Mall, 422, it doesn't look super, super windy right now. But we're getting very heavy rain, Warren and Howland, over towards Vienna, up into Fowler and Cortland as well. Lordstown getting pummeled. This is coming into Mineral Ridge and Girard, and Austintown, you're next. Youngstown, conditions will deteriorate pretty rapidly over the next handful of minutes. In fact, here's our tower camera in Youngstown. With the threatening skies looking to the west-northwest. If you look at the very top of the screen, the sky is darkening, probably getting a pretty good shelf cloud coming into the area as we speak. Just looking at my Facebook comments here, getting a lot of reports of getting very windy, including in Girard and Salem and Briar Hill. Christine says getting very dark in Hubbard. Aaron says this is the most fierce wind I've ever experienced. So I'm not sure where Aaron is, but yeah, this is serious wind, and I mentioned this earlier on social media and on 21 News at 6. You have to treat this wind as seriously as you would a low-end EF0 tornado. Low-end EF0 tornadoes start at about 60 miles per hour. So where we're getting these yellow colors across parts of Trumbull County especially, that is wind of at least 60 miles per hour being detected by the radar. Now, once we get far enough away from the radar site up in Cleveland, the radar beam is sampling the storm a handful of 1,000 feet above our heads. But with this kind of a storm that can produce some downdrafts can pull that wind energy down from a few thousand feet up down to the ground. So this is probably fairly representative of what's going on at the ground, even though technically the radar is sampling the storm a few thousand feet up. Because of the curvature of the Earth, the radar beam gains elevation as it goes away from the radar site. So when that radar beam leaves the radar site, it's near the ground, but by the time it gets over Trumbull County, it's 3, 4, even 5,000 feet up in the air. And we could look at the Pittsburgh radar, we could look at the Cleveland radar. Southern Trumbull County is about halfway in between, and so it doesn't really matter which radar site we look at there. The radar beam is still sampling the storm kind of high up. Not to get too far into the weeds of the details of radar meteorology, but it's one of the challenges of our area, being kind of smack dab in the middle of 2 radar sites. So again, take this really seriously. If you find yourself under a severe thunderstorm warning now or in the future, make sure you have everything secured outdoors. Loose outdoor items, trampolines can fly very easily in this kind of a setup, patio umbrellas, that sort of thing. Again, treat this as you would a low-end EF0 tornado. Tornadoes get all the hype and the buzz because they're tornadoes and they're pretty rare, but high-end thunderstorm winds can oftentimes be mistaken for tornadoes. In fact, most of the time they're mistaken for tornadoes, but around here tornadoes are exceedingly rare. They do happen, but not very often. What's much more common? Big-time thunderstorm winds, and that's what we are seeing this evening. The overall risk of a tornado is very, very low, but the risk of damaging winds is pretty high. in this situation. So if you're watching us from western PA, things are quiet for the time being in Lawrence County. That'll change eventually. In Mercer County, we're getting some heavy rain and thunder right now from transfer on north towards Greenville. This is about to come into the Fredonia and Sandy Creek areas. Mercer, closer to the top of the hour, closer to 7 o'clock. And then over towards and east of I-79, Jackson Center, Sandy Lake, New Lebanon, over towards Grove City, then eventually down to Slippery Rock. You're looking at probably about 7:30 on average over in those locales. All right, 224 corridor in Mahoning County. This is coming through Ellsworth right now. In Canfield, you are next. You only have a couple of minutes until the worst of this pushes into the heart of Canfield along 224, 46, and 11. Boardman, you only got a handful of minutes here, probably about 650, 655. Conditions are going to go downhill pretty rapidly in the Boardman area over towards Poland as well. And once you get up towards Struthers and Campbell and Coatesville, Lowellville, 6:55 to 7 o'clock, again, conditions will deteriorate. Down in Columbiana County, we're getting some heavy rain and gusty winds. From Lisbon on west along 172 heading out towards New Garden and into the Hanoverton area. Guilford Lake is getting slammed right now. This is coming through Salem. You'll actually notice there's not a ton of thunder and lightning with this. There's some. But this is not the prolific lightning producer that the storms late this morning and early this afternoon were. This is not producing as much lightning, but it's producing, on average, more wind than the storms we had earlier on today. Colleen says the wind is really picking up at Kirk and Turner. Thanks for that. Kristen says in the center of Greenville it's super windy and a clap of thunder, but waiting for the bad stuff to start. Well, you're getting into the heart of it right now in northwestern Mercer County, no doubt. So conditions are rapidly deteriorating east or west, I should say, of Mercer in Mercer County. Now, if you're watching from western Trumbull or northern Trumbull, the worst of the weather is behind you now. In Southington, in Farmington, in Mesopotamia, and up towards Bristol as well, and closer to the Ashtabula line, closer to the Geauga line, and even down towards Newton Falls and closer to the Portage line. The worst of the weather is now to your east. It's still raining, there's still some thunder, it's probably still breezy, but the threat for severe weather is diminishing in western Trumbull, northwestern Trumbull as well. But we're in the heart of it now, in the western half of Mahoning County, southern parts of Trumbull County, and into Columbiana County as well. Let me real quickly check the latest observations at the Youngstown Warren Airport, see if we have a gust. At 6:39, there was a gust of 35 at the airport. At 6:29, there was a gust of 45 miles per hour at the airport. So 17 minutes ago, they had a gust of 45. The most recent observation shows a gust of 35 at the airport. All right, so a lot to keep track of. Again, like I said at the top of our coverage this evening, the good news is this is moving quickly. This is moving at about 45 miles per hour. And so in any one location, the bad weather, the really bad weather, is not going to last all that long. It's going to rain for parts of the evening, and you can still hear some thunder and things like that. But the really strong winds and the really, really heavy rain in any one location just not going to last super, super long. So in case you're just joining us, let's do another storm track. With everything moving east at about 45 miles per hour, let's give you some clock times here. Extrapolate out like this. Coming into Youngstown here in a couple of minutes. I should be hearing it on the roof here in downtown Youngstown here momentarily. Down towards Calcutta, Glenmore, East Liverpool area. We're talking 7 o'clock or so. This is approaching West Point right now down in southeastern Columbiana County. Once you get over towards I-79, closer to Newcastle, New Wilmington, up towards Jackson Center and places like that, we're talking more like 7:05 to 7:30 in that range. And then this should be out of our TV viewing area, east of Mercer, east of Lawrence counties, over into Butler and Venango counties in PA as we head past 7:30 this evening. So this is a pretty quick hitter, but it does mean some business. Let's look at the latest radar velocity data. This is based off the Cleveland National Weather Service radar. So all the reds and oranges and yellows are winds that are blowing away from Cleveland. So in other words, west to east. And we don't see any rotation with this. Again, the tornado threat is almost zero this evening, but the brighter the yellows, the stronger the winds. You look at our color scale up here at the top, and we really start getting into some serious winds once we're up into the yellow ranges up here. And so we can even query some of this data. And we're getting some radar estimates still around Warren and heading down towards Niles and Mineral Ridge of 60 miles per hour. Now the ground truth, the winds may be a little lower than that. Again, the radar's sampling this a few thousand feet up, but it's probably not far off. This has had a history. This line of storms has had a history of producing lots of power outages and lots of wind damage in northern Ohio and northwest Ohio as well. This is a live look in Niles. The banner says WFMJ Tower, but this is actually across from Eastwood Mall in the Niles area along 422. Not looking super windy in this location right now, but certainly we're seeing some heavy rain. Let's hop down into Mahoning County in Youngstown. Not getting raindrops on the camera just yet, but we'll check on this in a few minutes, no doubt. The visibility is going to be quite low on this camera in Mahoning County coming up in a few minutes. Terry says the wind in Warren was bad, no doubt. Jamie says getting really dark and wind picking up in Poland. So yeah, a lot of strong winds so far and no rain in Warren, says Heidi. No rain in Warren, huh? That's a little bit surprising. The current severe thunderstorm warning runs until 7:45 for Mahoning County and the southern half of Trumbull County. The other warning will be expiring here momentarily. It'll be discontinued for northern Trumbull County, so we can disregard any residual warning in places like Kinsman and Bristol. The show is over up there, but we still have our active warning for Warren, Mineral Ridge, Niles, Vienna, Hubbard, down into the Poland area, Canfield, Youngstown, Austintown, and the rest of Mahoning County. We have no warnings issued yet by the National Weather Service in western PA. I would suspect that a warning will be issued for some parts of Lawrence and Mercer counties here momentarily. Probably southern Mercer County and most of Lawrence County would be my guess at this point. We may not get a warning for Columbiana. Let's check in on the Pittsburgh radar data here for Columbiana County. The radar is showing some pretty strong winds down here in the teals and blues, but a lot of this may be staying aloft. A lot of this may not be getting pulled down to the ground. You're not seeing a lot of thunder and lightning down here in Columbiana County. There's some, but not a lot, and that indicates that this end of the line, these storms aren't super tall, and the shallower the storms are, the harder time the storm has bringing down those strong winds from aloft. So that may be what the National Weather Service meteorologists in the hot seat in Pittsburgh this evening are seeing, and the reason why they haven't pulled a trigger on a warning in Columbiana County just yet. All right, so just as I mentioned, they are, as we speak, discontinuing this northern Trumbull warning. They're going to continue the warning for Mahoning until 7:45. Pittsburgh is issuing a new warning down in southeast Ohio, so we're not going to worry about that one. Again, in case you're just joining us, to recap here, it is 6:52. We're doing live coverage this evening with severe weather moving through. This is round 2 on the day. Boy, it's not been an easy week to be a meteorologist, I can tell you that. We've been having a hard time pinning down the timing and the coverage of these storms over the last couple of days. The computer models have been lousy with this, and this is not uncommon in this kind of a setup in the summer season. A lot of times even our highest resolution computer models have a hard time with thunderstorms cascading out of the Midwest, moving through the Great Lakes, and the models are not the answer key, but they're an important tool that we have, and when they are really, really off, that makes our job a lot harder. And so we're finding ourselves doing a lot of what we call nowcasting in this situation, where we just have to look at the radar and tell you what's going on and extrapolate from there. And it's really hard to say what's going to go on 12 hours, 18 hours from now in this kind of a situation. Our computer models generally are pretty good, and weather forecasts are generally pretty good, despite all the jokes and cliches. But this week has been a little bit subpar in trying to pin down timing and coverage of storms. We've been let down by some of the modeling, and I'm not searching for excuses or anything like that. The modeling are just part of what goes into making a forecast, but it's a key part and one that we haven't been able to rely on very much. Anywho, enough inside baseball here. Again, take this seriously in Youngstown and Coatesville and Hubbard, Austintown, Canfield, Boardman. We've got strong winds coming in. We're going to switch over to the data coming in off the Pittsburgh radar here. Where these brighter green colors are, strong winds, indicated by the radar. Now, if the storms are undergoing a little weakening as we speak, which may be happening, it may be having a harder time pulling down those strong winds from aloft. So we might not be seeing as much ground truth anymore as we were 20 minutes ago with this. In other words, this radar data that we're sampling may be good for a couple of thousand feet up, but if the storm is weakening a little bit, it may not be pulling down that wind as efficiently as it was a little while ago, 10, 15, even 20, 25 minutes ago. Jana says loud thunder in Austintown, I think? Yeah, Austintown. Also getting lightning and thunder in Austintown, thanks to Barbara for that. Laura also confirming that it has arrived in Austintown. So, again, we're not getting a tremendous amount of lightning and thunder, but locally we do have some, and we're getting some positive voltage strikes right now around the Austintown and Canfield area. That's the plus sign right there. Those tend to be louder bolts of lightning. They tend to hit things on the ground more often. They have higher voltage. That's why when you look at our radar maps, we show the traditional looking lightning strikes. Those are bolts that have a negative voltage. The ones that have a positive voltage are the plus sign. And while all lightning is dangerous, and all lightning is something that we should avoid, the ones that have the plus sign, the positive voltage, those tend to be even more dangerous because they tend to hit objects more. Sometimes they tend to leap out from anvil clouds in thunderstorms and strike things that are even 10 miles away. Those are the ones that have the positive voltage. So they can be especially dangerous. But again, all lightning is dangerous. And right now the highest concentration of lightning in our area is between Austintown and Canfield, and also coming into the Fredonia area over into Mercer County. On Twitter, Mark says a little bit of wind and rain in Niles at the moment, but it looks like Niles actually missed out on the worst of the wind. So thanks to Mark in Niles for passing that along. To bring you up to date a little bit on the power outage situation, let's head over here to my web browser quickly. This is a look at the current power outages in the state of Ohio. You can see we've got a lot of outages to our north and west, Ashtabula County, Geauga Lake, Cuyahoga, Summit, and then especially down towards Holmes County, Muskingum County, even into Tuscarawas and Stark counties. We have several power outages to report out there. Our neighboring counties, Portage, about 2,500 without power. Stark County, about 5,000 or so without power. Up in Ashtabula, about 3,000 or so without power as of last check. Heavy thunderstorm moving through Fredonia, Mercer, Jackson Center, coming into Stoneboro right now. And I think, overall, these storms are bad, but they're not as bad as they were a little while ago in our area, and especially when they were in the Cleveland, Mansfield area. We were helped out a little bit this evening, I think, by the stabilization that occurred after the first round of storms late this morning and early this afternoon. That first round knocked temperatures back into the 70s for a while, and while it stayed very humid, we did have some rain-cooled air around that helped to stabilize the atmosphere. Now, we did have a little sunshine late this afternoon, and temperatures in a lot of places jumped from the 70s into the 80s, and so the atmosphere became unstable enough, but it could have been a lot worse if we didn't have that first round of storms late this morning, early this afternoon. In fact, real quickly, look at the storm reports from earlier on today. Lots and lots of damage to trees and power lines across northern Ohio, parts of Michigan, parts of Indiana as well. And with that first round from this morning and midday, we had a lot of problems in western PA, and even in our area, we had a scattering of tree and power line issues and power outages around midday today. All right, let's head back home and do a reset here. I know a lot of people hop in and out of the stream. Severe thunderstorm warning out until 7:45, southern Trumbull in all of Mahoning County. That's our active warning. We have a severe thunderstorm watch that is out for our entire TV viewing area until 9 p.m. I'll show you that real quickly. That's the yellow colors, but this will be discontinued. They'll start shaving counties off of this, as they already have off to our west. We will be removed from this severe thunderstorm watch in our TV viewing area probably by 7:45 to 8 at the latest. So this watch was originally out for all of northern Ohio, but the Weather Service has been stripping out counties as the severe weather risk has been ending from west to east. Got a question on Twitter from Brent. Is this a derecho moving through? No. Derecho is a more long duration straight line wind damage event. Now, the exact definition of a derecho is one of those things that can be debated in the weather community. This line of storms has been around a long time. This originated late last night and this morning out across the upper Midwest. But it kind of deteriorated for a while and then kind of reformed. And so I would not necessarily classify this as a derecho. Either way, it doesn't matter. Wind is wind, whether you call it a derecho, straight line winds or not. This is a pretty hefty windstorm that's been impacting Ohio and is pushing into northwestern PA right now. It looks like the Weather Service is not going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning for the southern edge of this line. So it looks like Columbiana County will not be put under a warning. They just issued a statement saying, hey, there's a line of strong thunderstorms moving through, but usually when they issue something like that, that's a statement that is in lieu of a severe thunderstorm warning. And so in places like East Liverpool and East Palestine and Rogers and Nagley and over the state line into Ohioville and over towards Beaver Falls and Elwood City, you may not find yourself under a severe thunderstorm warning in those locations. But still take this seriously and secure those loose outdoor items. If you are across the state line into Beaver County, into Lawrence County, again, take it seriously. Even if you're not put under a warning, still have a gusty thunderstorm that's pushing through. Again, thanks to everyone for commenting on whether you're commenting on Facebook or on my Twitter page as well. John saying it would be awesome if Facebook could let us know when you go live for dangerous weather. You can go to my page, John, and somewhere on my page towards the top, you can choose to be notified whenever I post something, whenever I go live. Facebook tends to change their settings a lot. But if you go to my actual page, if you click on meteorologist Eric Wilhelm and go to my page, you can change the notification settings and be sure to get notified that way whenever I do go live. Justin says no wind yet at Meridian in Austintown. Aaron says it's pretty calm in Sharpsville. Yeah, I think we're seeing a weakening trend overall. A healthy line of thunderstorms, but as I was mentioning a few minutes ago, I think we were done a favor today by the midday cluster of storms that stabilized our atmosphere for long enough that it took a little bit of the bite out of this line of storms, because I haven't seen the problems here locally just yet that we had in places like Cleveland and Mansfield and up into some of the lakeshore areas, both west and east of Cleveland, earlier on. So that rain-cooled air that we had a lot of this afternoon probably took a little bit of a bite out of these storms, and that's why you're not seeing warnings being issued for parts of this line, Columbiana County included, and even in Mercer County. It looks like we're not going to get put under a warning at any point in Mercer County, because if they haven't issued one yet, they're probably not going to issue one, because this is coming east quickly, so this is going to be out of Mercer County by about 7:30. Still, we're getting a gusty thunderstorm with some heavy rain, Lackawanna, Mercer, Cool Spring, coming into Jackson Center, over into Transfer. It's still raining pretty hard in Sharon and West Middlesex and places like that. Gets a little bit lighter right now as you head up into the northwestern part of the county, up towards Greenville. But heavy rain coming into Stoneboro, again, Jackson Center, Grove City, you're next, eventually down towards Slippery Rock and into the West Liberty area. Our friends in Mahoning County getting some loud claps of thunder here and there, some heavy rain, Youngstown, Austintown, and into Boardman as well. Let's look at our cameras again real quickly. Calmer weather up in Niles right now. This is our transmitter tower camera, a couple of 100 feet up in the air, overlooking Youngstown. The visibility is not that bad. I've seen the visibility be a lot lower from our tower camera with storms pushing through Youngstown. And the camera is not blowing around in the wind. And considering it's a couple of 100 feet up, that's not bad. We are seeing reports of trees and wires down throughout Talmadge, back closer to the Portage and Summit County line. but that's pretty far to the west, and that was from earlier on with the storms that moved through. So this, again, appears to have been a lot worse back to our west, closer to Kent, Ravenna, Akron, up into Cleveland area as well. Up into Crawford County, north of Mercer County, the Weather Service passing along several 8-inch diameter trees snapped off. Estimated 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gust. That was up in Crawford County earlier. They still have a severe thunderstorm warning out until 7:45 up there. More reports of wind damage back towards Cuyahoga County, where power poles snapped. So yeah, this was rough a while ago, no doubt. North and northwest. Again, not to poo-poo this too much for our area, but I think we have seen a weakening trend occurring over the last half an hour, ever since about 7:40, I would say. And so the wind data off the Pittsburgh radar here is not especially impressive. So that is a good thing. Raymond saying wind and rain on the east side of Youngstown. Jess says rain and thunder in Sharon. Did have some huge gusts of wind a little while ago in Sharon. So yeah, right now I'd say the worst of the weather moving through Boardman, coming into Poland and Struthers, up into the east side of Youngstown, and back towards Austintown. It's still raining hard. Still getting some downpours up into Hubbard, West Middlesex, Sharon, and coming into Mercer, Findlay, Cool Spring, and Fredonia as well. More reports coming in up near Cleveland, Shaker Heights area of many limbs down, some trees. So yeah, they got socked up near Cleveland earlier on. All right, going to retweet a picture here from Mercer. I can show you this on the live stream if you're watching us on YouTube and Facebook. This was just sent to me on Twitter. This is in Mercer. So thanks for that. That was sent in to me by Greg over in Mercer, of a very dark sky over in central Mercer County. Our current severe thunderstorm warning runs until 7:45, but they're going to discontinue this much sooner, I think, than 7:45 in Mahoning County, southern Trumbull County. We're giving you the all clear at this point in Lordstown and Niles and Warren and Leavittsburg and Champion and Howland and Cortland. You're in the clear now from Canfield west along 224 and back towards Salem. You're in the clear Hanoverton, Salineville, Lisbon. Hang on a few minutes longer with a heavy thunderstorm moving through Boardman, Poland, Struthers, Camel, Coatesville, Hubbard. Hang in there a little while longer in Sharon and West Middlesex and Mercer, Fredonia, and New Lebanon. Got a little ways to go before this pushes into Newcastle, another handful of minutes. This will come down into Elwood City here eventually as well. All right, thanks to Carrie on Facebook for sending me some pictures of cool clouds earlier on in Vienna. And some very turbulent skies earlier on. While I have a moment, give me a moment here. I'm going to get into my email and see what's been sent in to us. We've gotten a lot of pictures of some dark clouds, some shelf clouds. Yeah, some really good ones. Thanks to everyone who has been sending us pictures to our email address for weather pictures. That is weatherpics, P-I-C-S, weatherpics at WFMJ.com. That's how you can do it via email. You can do it via the Storm Tracker 21 app. You can hit me up on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram as well if you want to send some pictures. I may not get to all of them right away. If we get a lot busy nights, we get a lot of pictures. If we have rainbows, we get a lot of pictures. If we have big storms, we get a lot of pictures. So it takes me a little while to sift through all of them. But I do see them all, and I thank everyone for sending them in. All right, I think we're going to, at this point, shut down the live stream, and I'm going to go through some of those pictures and share some of them. I do think that the overall risk of damaging winds, the kind of winds that can bring down tree limbs and cause power problems, I think the risk is lowering for our area as these storms are pushing through. Again, we were done some favors, I think, by the midday round of storms that stabilized the atmosphere some. So while we have some pretty good storms moving through right now, these mostly appear to be sub-severe. If anything changes in the next little bit of time, I'll hop back on the live stream. But for the time being, I'm going to shut down the stream so I can devote my attention to sorting through some of these pictures and sharing them on social media and catching up with what's going on across our region. I'll share some information with the newsroom, and we've got full coverage coming up tonight on 21 News 11 of all the day's events. A preview of more stormy weather to come over the next couple of days. And if you are an outdoor worker, take the heat seriously tomorrow, assuming we don't get a thunderstorm in the area during midday that cools us off again. If we just stay dry through midday or into the early afternoon, tomorrow could easily be the most uncomfortable, oppressive day of the summer, with heat index values getting close to 100. So take the heat seriously tomorrow, and take the threat for more storms seriously, especially late in the day tomorrow. But again, as I mentioned earlier, timing these storms this week has been a particular challenge, so make sure you're checking the forecast often over the next 24 hours. And even 48 hours, because we have more storms in the forecast for Friday. So for now, it's Eric signing off on the live stream. I'll see you later this evening online and on air on 21 News at 11 p.m.